Happy freaking Monday, community. I am so excited to be with you today. I'm actually recording this the day before on Sunday. I just had an incredible brunch with my friend and her 3 kids. My wife ended up playing in a water fight with 2 of the girls, and it was just a reminder of how beautiful life can be if you're not so freaking serious and you can just actually enjoy the day. My friend who we were at their house, she also is an incredible entrepreneur and has built a wildly successful business in our town. And seeing the kids run around and play and being able to chat with her about energy healing and about our desires to grow this business and to be successful and to have the life that maybe we didn't have growing up, whether that be having more options or just finally feeling like this is the thing I wanted to create. It re-inspired, and it also got me stoked to record this for you guys today because I had already pulled the card, and it really summarized the story with a bow of we have these dreams, we have these goals to build our companies, to build our businesses, to grow in our career. Maybe that means having a certain level of income, certain number of employees, or just being able to finally put into practice what you know that you're meant for. But without the understanding of the feminine side of that, the energetics, and doing that inner work, that masculine doesn't have anything to support. So if we're too in our head all the time about going towards our goals and then ignore the energetic current that's below them and not being able to read the signs, the synchronicities, the patterns, we are going to make it a lot harder on ourselves. And this week's card for the archetype of the week is going to talk about just that. It's going to talk about the thing that has been feeling just out of reach. And this card is going to explain why and what to do instead. So if you have a goal, if you have something you've been craving, you've been desiring, you've been manifesting, but it's just felt right outside of your reach, we're going to go into why that is and how to finally make progress towards it with less stress, with energy. And if you're new here, hello, I'm Emily. I am your energetic leadership guide. Each week I pull cards and I read the energetic patterns of the current moment. So I weave together what's present in the world in the 3D so that you can understand the flow underneath your strategy. Most of us spend so much time in the doing and the planning and the figuring out. This is the other half of that, the part that makes everything else work better. And this week we pulled the prayer. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see a picture of it. Or if you're inside of Rooted, I have sent you the picture of the card and sent an even deeper explanation of this with integration prompts. So check our WhatsApp group. But if you're just listening to the podcast on YouTube, you'll see we pulled the prayer. And I pulled this from the Wild Unknown Archetypes by Kim Kranz. All right, let's get into this week's reading. I want to start with the imagery of the card. The image is a hand reaching up from the depths of the underworld. There are dotted circles of energy surrounding it. And at the top, there's a jewel. It's a diamond catching light ringed by a rainbow of possibility. That's immediately as I was reading the card. I even said in the voice memo as I'm doing the intuitive reading, that is possibility. This card is not about pain. It is not about you being weak or you not being capable. It is more about what becomes available to you, how your energy can shift when you stop centering yourself, your ego, and you're able to start surrendering to something larger, that larger plan. In its empowered form, the prayer is the practice of getting quiet enough to hear what's already trying to reach you, to be able to read the patterns, to read the, oh, that was the synchronicity. That's what it was trying to say. Okay. So this is an opportunity to create more reverence, more honoring of the support, the divine guidance that we have. As I was reading the guidebook, it talked about the act of bowing, the ancient act of bowing that a lot of us have lost connection with. And when we talk about bowing here, this isn't like, oh, I'm defeated, I give up, so I know I'm going to die. It is a devotion of knowing that there is something much larger than yourself guiding you and available for you to tap into. And Kim Kranz writes that we may be in a state of prayer anytime we're not at the center of our own thoughts. This is every song, kiss, breath. Every word can become a prayer. It is a deep feeling of getting quiet. And that's the frequency that this week is asking you to find. I've recently been reconnecting with the power of prayer. Each morning I meditate and I spend the last few minutes in prayer, connecting with something bigger, allowing myself to become the energetic field in the present moment that can allow in what I want, what I'm craving, what I desire. So that is the empowered form, the devotion, the reverence, I am with the larger meaning of this in my path, working with my soul contract. But the shadow of this card is a bit more subtle, but it really needs to be acknowledged, because if we don't acknowledge the shadow of it, we can't fully embrace the light of it. When prayer becomes a transaction, when we are approaching abundance with a list of demands, instead of saying, I'm here with open hands and I allow all my desires to come to me, when we're creating from, I just need this to work, okay, that is when it becomes the shadow. But I'm not saying that with shame, because that is real, that is human. But it closes the circuit of possibility. If you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, this is exactly how I want to run my business, that is your sign to go deeper. Rooted is my monthly membership for entrepreneurs and leaders who are done running their business and their career on empty. Inside, we work with energetic patterns of each season, pull the archetypes, read what's moving, and use all of it to make clearer decisions, reduce the stress that's been quietly draining you, and build towards your vision in a way that actually feels like you and feels deeply connected to source and spirit. Most of us have spent years mastering the strategy and performing really high, the plans, the goals, the hustle. Rooted is the other half. It is the part that makes the strategy work without costing you everything. It's $27 a month, and you can try it free for 7 days. Go to risetoher.com/rooted or click the link in the show notes. Come get rooted with us. I'll see you inside. When we're in insecurity, we cannot tap into creative potential, because tapping into source is ultimate abundance. The shadow here wants results. The prayer is in service. And when we look at the larger energetic pattern that's happening and working with nature and the seasonal rhythms, we're moving out of a heavier internal energy of winter and into the peak of spring. And we just entered through Beltane. If you haven't listened to last week's podcast where we talked about Beltane, talked about what's coming for us as summer is starting, definitely go back and listen to last week's episode. It's still going to be really present for the rest of the month and through the summer. So we are moving from a heavier internal energy of that winter, that early spring, into the height of spring and into summer. So the frost is lifting, the fear of frost is gone. Most of North America, you are good to plant in your garden right now because the fear of frost has gone. The energy is a lot warmer. Even in Oregon, where I'm at today, it's in the high 80s. Like I said, the kids and Mary Kate were playing in the water this morning, having a great time. So this energy is about reaching upward, which again, the card shows clearly coming from the depths of the underworld. But the question is whether we're reaching with clarity of I know and am in full trust, or we're reaching with desperation. That is a very different energetic field, and that impacts our experience and what we're available to see. There is a teaching from the Kabbalah that landed in this reading this week, and it says what you're praying for already exists. The prayer isn't about give me this. The prayer is make me the vessel to hold it. And if you are able to embody that, that one reframe will change how you approach every single thing you do this week. Make me the vessel to hold it. So the invitation this week is to clarify your prayer for abundance and to get honest about where your next step is feeling unclear because you're creating from fear rather than that deep devotion to the larger picture. When the mind loops on, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. That is not typically a strategy problem, and I'm laughing because I am speaking deeply to myself right now. It is an energetic resistance. The prayer is asking you to drop beneath the mental scramble and ask a different question. What am I actually being called towards? But that does require getting quiet enough to hear the answer. That's why I created the integration ball inside of Rooted, which are meditation, somatic exercises, and mindfulness techniques that are designed for busy leaders, entrepreneurs, and creatives to get quiet, to integrate mindfulness and clarity into their routine so that we can clear out energetic distortion, so that we can actually take our goals and move forward with them. Because without that, we're going to be on a quick path to burnout. And burnout is when we're disconnected, when we're moving in energy that is not in alignment to where we need to go. And it is a gift for realignment. Burnout is a gift to get you back on track. So if you've been exhausted, if your direction is feeling really muddy, that is incredible information. And thank you so much for being present to it. This week is asking you to let it point you somewhere else instead of pushing through it. What do I need to be present to this week? The capacity being activated right now is devotion as a way of working. Oh my God, I'm going to say that again. Devotion as a way of working. The version of yourself being called forward is leading from service rather than scarcity. What would change? What would you now do? What would you do different if you were leading from a place of service rather than scarcity? We have to honor the human form to allow ourselves to access the divine form. And so when we are feeling this scarcity, our human form needs some tending to. It needs its basic needs to be met. When people are just trying to create a business, a vision, when they can't make ends meet or they feel so dysregulated, I like to remind folks with so much love that that is the time to meet the human form rather than trying to force creativity, because you are blocking off the full potential when you're in that energetic experience. Again, that doesn't mean that you are wrong for wanting something more, but it is saying you're skipping a lot of steps and just trying to jump into the deep end when you haven't even learned how to swim yet. You cannot access source from pure survival mode. And this week's energy is saying tend both. Be gentle with yourself. So how are you going to use this week? I want you to write your prayer. This is not a goal. This is not writing a task, a prayer, one sentence, what you're asking for. And I encourage you to sit with this before you write it down and notice where fear is coming up. And if you were to tap into the energy of devotion, how would that change it? I want you to write it as if that thing has already existed and you're asking to become the person that can hold it. And then keep it somewhere you'll see it. So for me, I love putting things in my office, on my whiteboard, somewhere that I can be very clear this is in my knowing. Another thing is I want you to try bowing. Literally prostrated on the floor, bowing. I've been doing that with the sun in the mornings, going outside, allowing my arms to open, bowing, thanking the light for being present. Nearly every spiritual tradition makes a practice of prostration. And so this week, I want you to do it once, head down, hands on the ground, and let your body do what your mind is resisting. If you're able to allow the body to be in surrender, the mind will catch up. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like, what in the heck are you doing? Especially if you have religious trauma, be gentle with yourself. Of course, take care of your human form. I have experienced that. I still am in active deconstruction, so I'm here with you. But this is tapping into something more than the manipulation. This is simply the abundant energy, bowing to it, being grateful, being present with, wow, this is amazing. You don't need to believe in anything for this opportunity to work, but I want you to notice what shifts when your ego has to go low. And then finally, I want you to look at what you're currently building and ask where it's coming from energetically. Your offers, your content, the products and projects that you keep pushing on. For each one, I want you to ask, am I creating this from fear or from a genuine call? I'm not saying you have to scrap anything, but you do need to know the difference. Because the people we work with, our teams, our audience, our collaborators, they can feel the energy that you're creating from. And there's an opportunity for us to go deeper into our devotion and then allow the abundance to come. It's there, but our fear, our scarcity, those small little places where we are in survival mode, that energetic resistance is asking to be released this week. If this reading has resonated, rooted, Seasonal Living and Ancient Wisdom membership is where we practice this every week. We begin to live this in our bodies. We're going over seasonal energy, archetypal wisdom, and a community of visionaries learning to build something real without burning out. You can get a 7-day free trial with the links in the show notes. You get expanded integration prompts and rituals to take these readings and amplify them in your life. I do monthly readings. We do live coaching calls. And this is truly the next level and layer of your leadership. If you've just been investing in all of these things of, oh, this is how I promote my content, or this is your next strategy, and you don't have the energetic mastery, the internal work, I can guarantee you that none of that strategy is going to land because it's coming from a place of scarcity. Or if it lands, it's going to feel like crap. So you can join us. We are so honored to have you. It is an incredible, incredible group. We have our WhatsApp group where the integration prompts and rituals will be. Because here's the deal. The underworld has been your teacher. Love, 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 love teaching on the underworld, teaching about the ancient mythology here, because the underworld has so much to teach us. But now in this season, as we enter into summer, it is time to reach toward the light and reach toward it with a clear prayer in your hand and watch how things open up. You've been pushing for clarity, and now this reading is saying, all right, time to get really clear on where the energy is feeling heavy, where it's feeling fearful, and come back into devotion. I'll see you inside of Rooted. You can join with the link in the bio, 7 days free trial, and then just $27 a month. Truly a no-brainer for anyone who is looking to grow something meaningful without feeling like crap. Reduce your stress. Finally make decisions that get you closer to your goal. All right, I will see you here later for next week's reading. Go back and listen to last week's episode where I talk about Beltane. And I'll see you on Instagram. If you are watching on YouTube or you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, if you could do me a favor and give us a review. If you like this, we would love a 5-star review. Share it with someone else who is building something, who knows that they're meant for more. Maybe they're in a transition, coming out of career into something new. This is for them too. Share it on your stories. Tag me at Rise to Her. I would love to hear what landed for you. Leave me a comment on YouTube or on the podcast where you're listening. And I'm there. I see it. I want to be in communication with you. I want to support you and cheer you on. Give us a follow. Hang out with us on Instagram at Rise to Her. And I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, reflecting, and rising into more of who you really are. If this episode sparked something inside of you or reminded you you're not alone, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. To keep the conversation going, come hang out with me on Instagram at Rise to Her. I always love hearing what's resonating for you. And if you're craving a space to explore intuitive, soul-led living with others who get it. Our community is growing, and you're always welcome. Until next time, trust yourself, honor your rhythm, and keep rising.